Alright, as I record this, it is 11:19 a.m., meaning it is now officially autumn in my time zone, and I wasn't intentionally doing this, but it just seems to be happening that I've been marking each new season with talking about a different movie lately. So I decided, given how a lot of people are back in school now, that would be going a different route. One thing I have learned over the course of doing this, even if at least in time frame, aim has been the very nature of discourse. Or which relates to the topic I'm addressing here. It's not a complete stretch to suggest that the figurative monster of fame presented in today's topic can manifest as literal monsters from the underworld, albeit with very specific roots in folklore. I mean, so in that sense, a lot of people have just said whatever they feel, and by sheer combination of chance and gaming the algorithm, some people have bought it. Anyway, hey, I think I've put this off long enough, so here's an informal video that I was waiting for a way to approach this for a long time, and now I finally have it because I prefer to give my own perspective rather than just parrot what others have said for the most part. So here is an informal video on the art of film discourse and K-pop demon hunters. So let's begin. A couple ground rules I will establish before I really get into this. I'm going to do my best to not compare this whenever possible to the works of Pixar and Alien in particular, because at the time that comparison did not make sense to me, and it still doesn't. That would be analogous in my book to comparing the latest Paul Thomas Anderson movie to the Gabby's Dollhouse movie, that a child could tell you that they're different, and also my knowledge of Gabby's Dollhouse could basically fit on a restaurant napkin in that I know it exists and that's popular. Which brings me to another ground I'm establishing. About another reason why I held off this long was I didn't have anything personal against the movie itself, let alone directors and co-writers Maggie Kane and Chris Appleholmes, or anyone on Netflix. It's just my musical tastes tend to be very unique and different than others, which is a way of saying that I don't really listen to K-pop. I actually stopped listening into the top 40 as a whole over a decade ago. Occasionally there'll be one that breaks on the pack, but for the most pack out of the one, but for the most part, the other just kind of blend together. I can say that the songs I'll be mentioning here, I think within our brown noise, because these are really nice jeans I got on, rather than not mess them up. With that, let's begin and talk the movie itself. Another reason why I held off on doing this for the longest time was specifically because of the effusive praise that other people were giving it, as well as a couple kittens and one other more ravenous fans that continually kept badgering me. When I specifically asked for more time and space to think about my stance. When I was given neither, I decided to take it instead. Admittedly, sometimes animated work can surprise you. I was not certain in what to expect from Wallace and Gromit Vengeance Must Foul. Ended up really liking Wallace and Gromit Vengeance Must Foul. How I certainly did not know what to expect from dawn to dawn, and I've been pretty open and about how I feel about that, which will be important later, especially as a third season and is underway. Hey, I mean, now that I have seen it, I consider it to be good. I mean, I can definitely say it's not a bad movie. Hey, it's certainly not my least favorite Sony animated film since the movie exists, but unlike some people, I just cannot bring myself to put it on the same pedestal or even above of on a higher pedestal, like say their own Spider-Verse films. I mean, my exact words said I was not invoking comparisons to this year's Pixar film, but other ones have similar themes. Those are fair game, which I'll be used to explain in my relation towards the basic premise, in which the titular hunters who are definitely come from a long line of similar singers who are functionally pop stars and also moonlight superheroes trying to defend in their home and the world at large from demons. Like, even the opening fight on their plane before they dive into the concert, it actually reminds me a lot of the 2000 Charlie's Angels movie. He replaced the dashiki that probably will not fly today and the Motley Crue who with the song they're singing as they're waiting for their ramen to heat up. Uh, and I definitely, even the whole exposition dump, which goes on for almost the first 10 minutes of the movie, we I can't be the only one who would have liked to have seen the one that we're hinting of there instead about the lineage of these hunters, as opposed to, well, people don't find conventional old demons scary anymore, or so how we're playing demonic boy band instead. I mean, and I that's basically another thing where, ironically, the main slang of a lot of people end up being one of my major deterrents. None of the songs are really sticking with me like they are with other people. Oh, and this is coming from someone who has listened to video essays on the theme music for Lego Island and a very inappropriate but also very funny remix actually to that. So I know the titles is because of how much they've been spanning my feed, like How It's Done, Golden, Soda Pop, but not a whole lot else. And personally, if you want to make your heroes goof on each other and have one of them shove a whole sweet roll down their throats like Shaggy does with their super sandwich, that's completely fine. Got no issue with that. All I'm saying is this movie might not be as original as a lot of its hardcore fans are insinuated, and that's perfectly okay. Just as some movies may be influenced by the likes of Spielberg, Lucas, Zemeckis, and even hints of Kubrick and Carl Sagan, and other people, before I even watch this movie, but just looking up information and online, have pointed out similarities that I did not even consider. And it's been pointed out that the main group that we're following for most of the 98 minutes, Rumi, Mira, and Zoe, who I've I've just been calling simply Z for short, or it's like one letter, her, so to speak. It's they're basically like a reversal of the Dazzlings from My Little Pony Rainbow Rocks, which I maintain is a better gem of holograms than the actual one that came out in 2015, where whereas the Dazzlings were the villains of that My Little Pony film, which is part of the Equestria Girls imprints. Huntrix are the heroes who are trying to simultaneously balance the pressures of their fame and with trying to defend their world from all these demons. And also, I've been told it's like a reversal of the Symphogear franchise as well. Hell, albeit if the premise was more optimistic as opposed to being more cynical. Well, I mean, especially with all the Korean and actual Korean films I've seen from the likes of Bong Joon Ho and Park Chan Wook, who I mean, I'm especially open to checking out the latter's newest one, No Other Choice. Which I can definitely tell it's more of an homage to their convention than anything through the lens of Western filmmakers, which is not really a bad thing. And where, especially, he, something tells me that the humor will be a lot darker with a different filmmaker at the helm, and a lot of the bad guys cutting up would be exploding to blood instead of stardust, personally. So I can't go so far to say that this is the game changer everyone else has been claiming it is. I mean, it's a silly animated movie about pop star superheroes. I'm not expecting some big Squid Game level indictment of the entertainment industrial complex. It's just that, from my personal experience and and drama surrounding popularity numbers and award shows tend to rank pretty low on my list. And I know this is gonna be like a a very big comparison, and but to compare this movie to probably what's my favorite film of the year so far, Sinners, I felt that took a lot more creative risks with the visuals, story, characterization, especially in the way they use music like in the story. I mean, where showing how like the gospel whole whole songs you hear here in a church and the more wild music over the ages actually share a lot more DNA than one thinks. I speak from experience here because I definitely heard some bands play not just on Christian radio, but also mainstream rock radio and top 40 charts, being going 2000 and all that. It's and also especially with how that film to examine the tensions we're facing at present took a look at how some of the ones played out in the past, like how where the fantastical horrors of these vampires are balanced out with like the real horrors being faced by the prejudices of the American South in the 1930s. But again, and I'm fairly confident in that film, at least getting awards nominations, not wins. This one I am more skeptical about. I mean, what one thing's going to be a sure thing or a lock one point in the year can often be not the case the next. Like last year, a lot of people thought The Wild Robot was a lock to win in the award. Then Flow came out of nowhere, which was like a movie with no dialogue made by mostly by one person in Blender, and that ended up taking the crown instead, man. And in my opinion, so really so, man. Oh, man. So, and I've also seen, and I'm not above admitting I've seen the Academy with it a few times, and I'm someone who tends to be into classic kind of stuff like that, man. Where here, like the complete snubbing of a lot of films are now considered to be all time classics. 2001: A Space Odyssey, for example. I watched the movie at least twice, at least to show how I understood what was going on, and some plot points made a bit more sense on the second viewing when and that happens, which at least I can at least give them that much on that one, on where at first I was confused by why certain ones, but I also will give them credit for subverting one thing, and that they actually do not do a who like the usual third act misunderstanding where the whole third act will play out differently. They just talk to each other. I mean, like they can like Rumi's band aids can basically tell. As I was saying, and as it's discovered that Rumi he is partially of demon descent, but I'm glad that Mira points out how we fight now, deal with this later. Later, I mean, that was actually kind of refreshing. Beyond that, that that I still my real issue with how I felt with this, I didn't consider the idea as too weird. But as other examples I'm going to get into, I ironically did not find it weird enough. I mean, the biggest example I can think of would be the Pretty Cure franchise, which has been going in some capacity since 2000s, and while it tends to be more popular in Japan, it's not without its fans in the West. I mean, in fact, even though some entries do better than others on the whole, Toei considers that to be one of their biggest assets alongside the likes of Dragon Ball, One Piece, Digimon, fellow Magical Girl franchise Sailor Moon, Super Sentai, which of course that last one becoming the basis for Power Rangers, who's here, and even among on the mist of this kind of animation, even with all the business shenanigans which I do not feel compelled to get into right now, we now have access to more content than ever in our lives, man. Which I still maintain is the main reason why I declined to talk about this movie when it initially came out. I mean, I did not consider it to be a priority, which is also why even when it just kind of blipped on my feed and I just, let alone before it became this viral whole whole fad, man. That's why I was talking about Minecraft instead, man. I mean, I would say that this movie is a 4 out of 5 personally. I mean, not a bad film, but uh, I determined no matter how I decided to address this movie, it would be to explain in a way. I do not hate it, I mean, but I also don't think it's the a masterpiece that other people will try to claim it as either. I mean, since especially hey, as someone who regularly spends their weekend nights binging One Piece, Bleach, Thousand Year Blood War, and Dragon Ball Daima, uh, and as especially has gotten into Don on lately, it's not that I found the idea of these pop stars fighting demons while guzzling copious amounts of food while also spending the end of each mission, whether it's singing to adoring fans or breaking down the figurative firewalls between the earth and the underworld with a bath is too weird. I did not find it weird enough. I mean, heck, one of the things that amused me most about Dawn to Dawn is not just how it managed to go all in on the absurd aspects of the Japanese approach to aliens and ghosts, but regarding the latter, a major plot point is like Okaru's personal private place was stolen, and one of the people who has it is another psychic, making things even more awkward. I will go into more detail, Hale, but like this movie, I'm trying to keep things under PG the best I can.
Mm-hmm.
As for this proposed sequel, oh, that's another story. I mean, obviously, at the time that Sony sold the rights to Netflix, much as they did with Missile Machines, another one I like more than this. I mean, it's is is it made sense at the time given how they were starting to reopen in theaters after everything happening before, but for the most part, Hearts things have not quite got back to the before time long ago and still haven't. And I don't know if they ever will. Oh, they did not know how it would become. They would be selling people everything from $10 Funko Pop figurines who the official versions of like the noodles they eat at the beginning of the movie. He and like base and obviously he both Sony and Netflix will have to come to an agreement about where to go from there. I mean, if they cannot reach one with a certain time frame, then that's that. I mean, admittedly, there are ideas they could pursue with the masquerade being broken at the end, especially because Harumi's familial heritage. I mean, what if her Ole didn't actually die, as instead it would return as as a potential character in the sequel? Is all I'm saying. I mean, that alone, the story that we're pursuing, I would say. Hey, and I'm just also thinking logistically. Hey, because not everyone considers this, but there's a lot of details that most people don't even think about, let alone realize are involved. I mean, I'm not saying I need to know how, say, what kind of dishes they want for the next mukbang, whether or uh, they still insist upon having crinkle cut fries, or if they're okay with steak fries, or it's just something from like a local hot pot. Uh, but there's a lot of pieces that had to fall together. I mean, like yeah, looking at Beyond the Spider-Verse, an example, I'm glad they're taking the time to get that one right as opposed to just rushing out for money. I mean, I am content with the to be concluded message at the end of the last movie because how good it is. Is I mean, I can wait for them both. And if I personally feel I'm more interested in seeing what Miguel, aka 2099, is willing to do to preserve the canon, and even though they do hint at some interesting ideas, is about how certain groups can be literally demonized as well as figuratively. He they could have gone farther with it. It didn't really stick with me the same way as Miles rejecting the idea that tragedy is helpful, let alone necessary to become a better hero, and through the sole guidance of Hobie, aka Spider Punk, um, guiding in, in him through who and inspiring other variants to follow suit in their breaking off from um, 29's leadership. And of course, while I'll admit it turning like a idle gathering into a battle for survival is alright, but to me it lacks the urgency of like a super collider and later a an individual who could figure literally tear the multiverse apart and collapse in a Salgadine star. Or, I mean, some people are are in have a mindset of like give me Peter Parker or give me death. Me, I'm excited for possibly seeing Yamashiro Takuya on the big screen, complete with his his mecha Leopardon. Like I said, I don't think this movie is too weird for me. Oddly, given all the things I tend to consume, I just didn't find it weird enough. So, what I'm getting at is this. While I may not agree with every single take online, a lot of people seem to forget this, is that if we all held the same points of view, who the whole landscape actually would be pretty boring. Right? I mean, since obviously I will not put this movie in the same pillars that I would someone like say with Pixar, Marvel, DC, or Andor. Those are my current four main hyperfixations right now. Now, but I am not going to try and ruin it for people whole whole for or others. Just like how I chose not to get into the ones trying to claim that things are going to hit rock bottom when that does not happen, when there aren't any raspberry punctuation involved. All I'm saying is, people in the Stitch, Hitch and I are cool about this. Just a thought. And beyond that, rather than trying to shut people down, if there's a debate about something, I don't always actively challenge people like some. I just do my best to say that there are debates that are worth having on all consideration. Overall, what I've said here is why I decided to do it in this way instead of conventional view. I'm also not as certain about other things I'm going to be talking about. Like, I've got more Pokemon I want to finish, and it's still very much giving a lot of priority towards my stuff I want to do to kick off Bat Month and Scooptober. But I will say, hey, I appreciate support and any potential subscribers. I hope we get past 400 is for the fans, any bit of soda pop. So it's kind of like that. So even though I may not be as into this movie as other people are, I at least have a much better understanding about why other people are. Or at least without if we were all into the same stuff, I still maintain things are actually pretty boring. If I'm being totally honest, and why I do at least try to take some kind of venture outside my comfort zone, even if the results don't always yield what I expect. If I had to say, I think the movie is good. It's just not what I'm looking for right now, How? So, just thought I would wanted to resolve this. I initially planned to do this after I saw my dad or after I got my teeth done, and now it's somewhere in between. And with that, I bid you all farewell, and I'll see you again and soon. Take care.